won't start with NVIDIA, because I know you talked about it. And
we haven't talked about it enough today.
Oh, is that sarcasm?
No, I'm not. No, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Jim Cramer's not here. Usually in the 9 to 10, we must mention it at least 27 times.
Okay. Well, for our audience that, maybe gets a little bit bored hearing about NVIDIA all the time, I'll start with the broader sector, because it was definitely all the rage in 2024 as the semi-industry ETF saw growth of nearly 40%. And I say this, SMH, SOX, all of those. And those outpaced the broader U.S. market. But zoom out, and that wasn't as impressive as 2023 when the AI boom first kicked off and everybody was just scrambling to get a piece of the pie. Outlook for the chip space does hinge on the success. Now I can talk about NVIDIA, about one of its bellwethers, NVIDIA. Although shares have remained pretty flat just over the last 2 months or so, NVIDIA shares still skyrocketing over 180% this year. There's no doubt the GPU king will continue its reign, but there's still debate right now. And this is a new narrative for this year, revolving around the time frame of that success. Recent checks show weaker demand for the current GPU, that would be the Hopper iteration, as customers are waiting for the latest Blackwell. That's the next iteration. So, they're not maybe holding off on some of their purchases to wait for the next and greatest. They also have been, there's been back and forth headlines about possible delays for said Blackwell, and then additional China chip restrictions. But investors really, of course, aren't fazed by these concerns. A key catalyst will be CES next week, where we'll hear from Jensen Huang, as well as the CFO Colette Kress, about the future of AI computing and possible financial goals and updates for Blackwell. NVIDIA and several other AI winners like Marvell, ARM, Broadcom, chip manufacturer TSMC have all fared well over the year, bringing in an average return of over 100%, outpacing that basket of chip names that we talked about, the SMH as well as the SOX. But the rest of the sector hasn't fared as well as those exposed, let's say, to auto and electronics. The PC refresh cycle, we heard from HP not too long ago, saying it's just really a slow start, and it's impacting names like AMD, memory maker Micron. We know their guidance was a lot weaker very recently, just a few weeks ago. Intel, down 60% on the year, one of the worst. I guess 60% of its value lost in 2024, biggest drop in 53 years as a public company. So
Intel's got more than its share of issues.
Yes.
And in fact, I would assume it's going to be on your radar. It is for mine as well in 2025. What's going to happen in terms of leadership there, not to mention in terms of the structure of the company itself. Any number.
Altera, what's going to be spun off? How are they going to split it up? Who's the leader?
Will it be split up in some
Precisely.
fashion? Would you really see the bigger split that certainly people talk and speculate about in terms of manufacturing and design?
And I guess some of the debate, I spoke to an executive, another chip executive, who said that the problem with Intel is they tried to do too much all at once. And then the argument is, well, you had Pat Gelsinger, who came from the chip space, was really well versed in it, and had the drive and the ideas. But unfortunately, that didn't pan out, especially when you saw the loss of capital going into the manufacturing side, and the fact that they fell behind so many other chip makers. Even with their latest, they do have a GPU that's just really not up to par with what's out in the market right now.
You mentioned CES coming up. NVIDIA for several quarters was on this cycle of, please just tell us that the next thing is huge and it's going to happen and we can, kind of put it on the horizon. What are we waiting for specifically, if anything, to hear incrementally from Jensen Huang?
It would be Blackwell. So the Blackwell volume.
So it's the one we know, we want the timing and...
Precisely.
Yeah.
That's what's driving the stock in the near term. I know you have talked about it in many ASIC, or the custom-made chips will possibly take away this market or change NVIDIA's reign in the coming few years. But in the near term, it really rides on what is that next iteration. And not even after Blackwell, it'll be Rubin, right? So will there be any commentary about Rubin? And so it's constantly fueling that fire, right? Like, the next and best thing is coming. Don't worry, because we're doing at least one new chip a year,
right,
which makes it so difficult for others to keep up when NVIDIA is so far ahead.
Blackwell
That's the bull argument,
Blackwell
though.
shipping in size right now.
It is already shipping,
right,
yes.
Right now.